you mentioned, polling stations have now been officially closed for about half an hour, and the process of counting is now underway, which is setting the stage for what will be a tense waiting period. The immediate atmosphere is one of controlled calm and expectation across the country. The large security presence that was visible throughout the day around the country remains, ensuring that, as agents have widely reported to us, there have been hardly any major incidences of violence across the over 31,000 polling stations nationwide, which is a commendable improvement in security organization compared to the 2018 election. However, the element we are watching now is the integrity of the vote count. Reports from election monitors throughout the day have highlighted several flaws in the voting process itself. Some voters have reported that their names were missing from the list. Others have complained about being barred from voting unless they showed a national ID card, despite the fact that the electoral body only officially required a voter's card. Conversely, we've heard reports of polling stations where individual voter cards, people's names were on the list, but they were not permitted to vote. The presence, of course, of names of deceased voters on some lists was also highlighted as a serious irregularity that must be addressed during the tabulation as vote count goes. These issues, coupled with reports of some electoral malpractices in different polling stations, mean that the count and the consolidation of the result sheets will be fiercely scrutinized.
Now, Kathleen, given the history of low participation, particularly in the restive Northwest and the Southwest region, what is the earliest or early indication of overall voter turnout, and how significant do you think that number will be to final legitimacy of the elections?
Early indications suggest that while the turnout may have seen a marginal rise in many areas, overall participation cannot be determined at this time, even as the significance of voter turnout to legitimacy. Great challenge to this credibility stems from the restive Northwest and Southwest Anglophone regions. Despite generally smoother logistics this year, the ongoing security crisis has continued to suppress voter participation in those areas. The turnout, though reportedly higher than the 2018 figure, still effectively disenfranchised a significant segment of the electorate, undermining the national mandate, as many say they were caught between exercising their civic duty and protecting their personal safety. Furthermore, the administrative irregularities that we've witnessed, such as the long waiting times and the confusion over document requirements, have been direct barriers to participation, even in this organized voting day, which some agents have commended as an improvement to the 2018. Possible flaws, people have had their names of deceased people on there, so even low turnout figures are being used by some opposition and civil societies to directly question the credibility of these elections.
Now, Kathleen, of course, there's been a bit of a contradiction, and I think my question to you is, we've heard strong statements from the Minister of Territorial Administration regarding attempts to publish parallel results. Now, how are the main opposition camps responding to this ultimatum? And of course, is there any sign of independent monitoring efforts proceedings despite this warning?
Government's warning that amount quote-unquote high treason has put the opposition in a bit of a bind. The Minister of Territorial Administration statement was clearly aimed at dissuading any parallel vote tabulation by rival camps. It's a tactic often used by opposition parties globally to guard against fraud. Now, the immediate response from the main challengers have been defiant. Cautiously, they have largely avoided outright declarations of victory, but have confirmed that independent monitoring efforts are proceeding. In some polling stations that we visited, opposition agents and civil society groups and monitors told us that they will monitor the result counting and will collect result sheets, often by photographing the official copies posted outside polling stations as mandated by law. They insist that they are essentially complying with the law by not announcing any final results, but they are actively building their own database to challenge the eventual official tally from the Constitutional Council if necessary. They say this process is happening quietly but deliberately, setting the stage for potential political and legal confrontation once the official results are announced.
Now, Kathleen, if we look at the population there, the vast population, of course, being the youth, which we know are hungry for change. What are we hearing from voters on the streets right now? Is this, a feeling, or are people feeling anticipation? Is there resignation, or perhaps a readiness for protest if the results follow the predictable pattern?
The feelings on the street since we've gathered this morning, right, and up till now, are a complex blend. A lean towards frustration, anticipation due to previous election outcomes. We are hearing the weariness of a population, particularly the vast number of young people that are hungry for change, who have lived through decades of political stagnation and economic hardship. Many have told us they voted out of absolute necessity to push for relief from a long-term regime that has brought about a high cost of living and chronic youth unemployment. However, after a day that has seen clear evidence of some systemic irregularities alongside the heavy-handed warnings from the government, the mood right now is one of guarded resignation. There is a prevailing sense that the establishment has positioned itself for a predictable result. While many hunger for change, and it's potent possibly at this moment, there is no immediate indication of a readiness for mass protest if the results follow the widely anticipated pattern that it has been before. Cameroon's young people are keenly aware of the consequences of challenging the state, suggesting that any post-electoral tension will first play out in the political and legal arena, as it has always been the case in elections in this country.